let's talk about small business loans. I know the very mention of loans might make some of you cringe. You're thinking, Dave, aren't loans bad? Aren't they the reason why people stay broke?
Well, let me tell you this. Debt in the wrong hands is dangerous.
It's like handing a toddler a chainsaw. But when you understand how to use a tool properly, it can become a powerful force for building something incredible. That's exactly what a low-interest small business loan can be for your business. Tool. It's not the foundation of your success, and it's certainly not a safety net for bad financial decisions. It's a hammer. And what do you do with a hammer? You build, but only if you have a blueprint.
Now, let's set the stage here. In America, small businesses are the backbone of the economy. You're the dreamers, the innovators, the ones grinding day in and day out to create value in your community.
But here's the harsh reality. Running a business isn't cheap. Equipment costs money. Marketing costs money. Hiring people, costs money. And sometimes, even when you're doing everything right, cash flow can get tight.
That's where these low-interest small business loans can come in. They're not meant to rescue you from poor decisions or keep a failing business on life support. They're meant to be a springboard for businesses with clear goals, solid plans, and the discipline to see them through.
I want you to understand one thing right off the bat.
A loan doesn't solve problems. It magnifies them. If your business is in chaos, throwing borrowed money at it won't fix the chaos. In fact, it'll only make it worse. But if your business is running well, if you have a proven track record and you see an opportunity to grow, a loan with a smart, calculated plan can be the jet fuel that takes you to the next level.
The key is knowing the difference. Too many people get caught up in thinking, well, it's just money and the interest rate is low, so why not? Why not? Because a loan isn't free.
It has to be repaid with interest. And if you're not disciplined, that loan will become a ball and chain dragging you down instead of lifting you up.
Here's what I need you to think about. When you take out a loan, you're entering into a partnership, a financial commitment with a lender who expects their money back plus a little extra. And let's be honest, they don't care about your dreams or your struggles. They care about your ability to pay them on time. That's why you have to care about your ability to pay them on time. You've got to treat this decision with the seriousness it deserves. I'm not saying you should never borrow money. I'm saying you need to be smart, be strategic, be intentional. If you don't have a clear, compelling reason to borrow, one that will generate more value than the cost of the loan, then don't borrow. Period. But here's the good news. If you do have a plan, if you do have the discipline to use that money wisely, and if you're borrowing for the right reasons, a small business loan with a low interest rate can be a game changer. It can help you invest in the things that will take your business to the next level. Things like new equipment, expanded operations, or reaching new markets. But it's not about taking shortcuts. It's about accelerating progress you've already planned for. If you're sitting there hoping a loan will make your problems disappear, you're thinking like a gambler, not a business owner, and gamblers lose. But if you're thinking like an investor, someone who's ready to take calculated risks with a plan to win, then you're on the right track.
So as we dive into this topic, keep this in mind. Loans are tools, not solutions. Your success doesn't depend on borrowing money. It depends on how you manage the money you borrow. That's what separates the businesses that thrive from the ones that struggle. And here's the kicker. If you want to thrive, you've got to be intentional, disciplined, and willing to do the hard work of making every dollar count.
Let's dig deeper into this because the choices you make here could change the trajectory of your business forever. Ready? Let's go build something extraordinary. All right, let's break this down. Not all small business loans are created equal. Some are like a well-trained Labrador retriever, loyal, predictable, and ready to work with you. Others are like a rabid raccoon. Others are like a rabid raccoon, unpredictable, full of hidden dangers, and likely to bite you when you least expect it. The key is knowing the difference and choosing wisely. You wouldn't just grab the first loan you come across any more than you'd walk into a dealership and buy the first car the salesman shows you. No, you're smarter than that. You're going to do your homework, understand your options, and pick the one that aligns with your goals and your business's needs.
That's how you win.
Well, let's talk about some of the main types of loans you'll encounter, starting with the superstar of small business financing, SB loans. These are loans backed by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and they're a game changer for a lot of small businesses. Why? Because they come with lower interest rates and longer repayment terms than most other loans.
It's like getting a loan from the government with a little pat on the back saying, we believe in you, but don't mess this up. Now, here's the deal with SPA loans. They're not easy to get.
The application process is like running a marathon in the rain. You'll need detailed financial statements, a solid business plan, and the patience of a saint. But if you're serious about growing your business, this is a tool worth considering. And let me tell you, if you're not willing to go through the process, you probably shouldn't be borrowing money in the first place.
Next up, term loans. Think of these like the traditional loan experience. You borrow a lump sum, you get a fixed interest rate, and you repay it over a set period of time. 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 10.
These are great if you've got a clear plan for how you're going to use the money. Maybe you're buying equipment, expanding your storefront, or investing in a new marketing strategy.
The key here is the word plan. If you don't have one, don't even think about it. Term loan is not something you use for vague ideas or maybe this will work strategies. It's a commitment, and you need to treat it that way.
Now, let's talk about something a little more flexible. Lines of credit. This is like having a financial safety net in your back pocket. A line of credit lets you borrow up to a certain amount, but you only pay interest on what you actually use. Need $10,000 to cover payroll this month.
Fine.
Borrow it, pay it back, and the rest of the credit is still there if you need it later. But, and this is a big but, a line of credit is not free money. You don't use it to splurge on unnecessary expenses or fund risky experiments. You use it strategically like a tool to smooth out cash flow hiccups or cover short-term expenses that you already know you can repay. It's like a fire extinguisher. Great to have when you need it, but dangerous if you start playing with it. Finally, there are alternative lenders. These are the online platforms, the fintech companies, the shiny new players in the lending game. They promise speed, simplicity, and often a quick turnaround time. And while that might sound tempting, let me give you a reality check. Convenience comes at a cost. These loans often have higher interest rates and shorter repayment terms. It's like buying fast food, quick and easy, but not exactly good for you in the long run. So unless you've got no other options, steer clear of these loans. They're a last resort, not a first choice.
Here's what I need you to remember. A loan is not one size fits all. Each type serves a different purpose, and you need to know which one fits your situation. Are you looking to invest in long-term growth? Maybe or term loan is the way to go. Do you need something more flexible to manage cash flow? A line of credit could be your answer. But whatever you do, don't just grab the first loan that looks easy.
Easy is dangerous. Easy is how people end up drowning in debt with no way out. You're not going to be that person. You're going to be that person. You're going to think it through, do your research, and make a smart, intentional decision. Because here's the truth. The type of loan you choose could set your business up for success or sink it faster than a rock in a pond. And I know you're here to succeed. You're here to build something extraordinary, something lasting, something you can be proud of. So let's keep digging into this, because the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to make the right decision for your business and your future. Let's do this.
Now, let's get real for a moment, because this is where most people screw it up. Borrowing money is not about emotions. It's not about panic, desperation, or that shiny object syndrome that makes you think if I just had a little more cash, everything would magically fall into place. Newsflash. Money doesn't fix bad business decisions. Money doesn't fix chaos. Money doesn't fix a lack of direction. What it does is amplify the situation you're already in. So if your business is a mess, borrowing money is just going to mess. Borrowing money is just going to make it a bigger, more expensive mess. But if your business is steady, if you've got a clear plan and a legitimate opportunity to grow, borrowing money strategically might just be the smartest move you can make. The key is knowing the difference.
Let's talk about when you should consider borrowing. And let me tell you, this list is shorter than you think. First, if you've identified a clear, measurable opportunity to grow your business, borrowing might make sense. I'm talking about things like buying equipment that will increase your production, hiring more staff to meet demand, or opening a new location because your current one is bursting at the seams. These are investments, not expenses. And there's a big difference. Investments generate a return. They make you money. Expenses just cost you money. If you're borrowing for something that isn't going to pay you back, stop right there. You're not borrowing, you're gambling, and gamblers lose. Second, you might consider borrowing to stabilize cash flow in the short term, if and only if you've got a rock solid plan to pay it back. Maybe you've got a big client who's slow to pay their invoice, and you need some breathing room to cover payroll or rent.
That's fine, as long as you're disciplined and you know exactly when and how that money is going to come back in. But let me be clear. This is not an excuse to live on borrowed money indefinitely. If you're constantly borrowing just to stay afloat, that's not a cash flow problem. That's a business model problem. And you need to fix it before you dig yourself into a hole so deep you can't climb out. Now let's flip the script and talk about when you absolutely should not borrow.
And yes, I'm going to step on some toes here, but you need to hear this.
If you're thinking about borrowing money to cover past mistakes, don't do it. Borrowing to pay off other debts or to cover up financial mismanagement is like throwing a rug over a pile of dirt. It doesn't solve the problem. It just hides it for a little while.
You got to deal with the root issue. Get your house in order before you even think about taking on more debt. Another red flag?
Borrowing because you're impatient.
I see this all the time. Someone gets excited about a new opportunity, a piece of equipment, a marketing campaign, whatever, and they just can't wait to save up for it. So they borrow. And then guess what? That shiny new toy doesn't deliver the results they were expecting, and now they're stuck with a monthly payment they can't afford. Here's the deal. If your opportunity is real, it'll still be there in 6 months after you've saved up and done your homework. And if it's not, it probably wasn't worth it in the first place. Let me tell you a story. I had a guy call into my show a while back. He ran a small landscaping business, and he was thinking about taking out a $50,000 loan to buy a fancy new piece of equipment.
When I asked him why, he said, well, I think it'll help me work faster. That's not good enough. I told him, go do the math, run the numbers. Show me exactly how much faster you'll work, how many more jobs you'll take on, and how much extra money you'll make. If the numbers make sense, then we'll talk. But until then, you don't borrow 50 grand on a hunt. That's the level of clarity you need before you borrow a single dime. And here's the golden rule. Never borrow money without a plan to pay it back. I'm not talking about wishful thinking or, well, I hope this works out. I'm talking about a written step-by-step plan that shows exactly where the money is coming from and when. Because if you don't know how you're going to pay it back, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I don't want that for you. I want you to win. So here's the bottom line. Borrow only when you have a clear, measurable reason to do so, a detailed plan for how the money will generate more value than it costs, and a strategy for paying it back quickly. If you can check all those boxes, borrowing can be a powerful tool to grow your business. But if you can't, don't do it. It's that simple, because the only thing worse than struggling without a loan is struggling with one.
Make the smart choice. Your future self and your business will thank you. All right, so let's say you've done the hard work. You've crunched the numbers, you've evaluated your options, and you've decided that borrowing makes sense for your business.
No? What?
This is where the rubber meets the road, because borrowing money is only half the battle. The real test, the part that separates the winners from the losers, as how you use that money once it's in your hands. And let me tell you, this is where a lot of business owners drop the ball. They think getting approved for a loan is the finish line, but in reality, it's just the starting point. What you do next will determine whether that loan becomes a stepping stone to success or a weight around your neck, dragging you under. The first secret to using a loan effectively is to have a detailed written plan for every single dollar. I'm not talking about a vague idea or a list scribbled on a napkin. I mean a clear, precise, step-by-step roadmap that shows exactly where the money is going and how it's going to help your business grow. If you're borrowing $50,000, you should be able to break that down into specific amounts. $10,000 for new equipment, $15,000 for hiring staff, $5,000 for marketing, and so on. And here's the kicker. Every single in on that list should have a measurable goal attached to it. If you're spending $5,000 on marketing, you should know exactly what kind of return you're expecting, whether it's more customers, increased sales, or greater brand awareness. Without a plan, you're just guessing.
And guessing with borrowed money. That's a recipe for disaster.
The second secret is to track your spending like a hawk. Listen, I don't care how busy you are or how much you trust your accountant. If you're not keeping a close eye on where that loan money is going, you're asking for trouble. Every dollar you spend should align with the plan you created. And if it doesn't, you need to figure out why. Did a cost come in higher than expected? Did you forget to account for something? That's okay. Adjustments are part of the process. But what's not okay is letting the money slip through your fingers without knowing where it's going. You got to treat that loan like it's your own hard-earned cash. Because let's face it, eventually it will be. You're going to have to pay it back with interest. So every dollar needs to work as hard as you do. Now let's talk about discipline, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. Borrowing money can feel like a windfall. Suddenly, you've got a big chunk of cash sitting in your account, and it's tempting to loosen the reins a little. Maybe you start thinking about splurging on that fancy office furniture you've been eyeing, or upgrading your computer system, even though the one you have works just fine. Stop, right?
Yeah. This is not your money. It's borrowed money. And every dollar you spend on something unnecessary is a dollar you're stealing from your future. Borrowed money should only ever be used to create value, to grow your business, increase your revenue, or improve your efficiency.
If it's not doing one of those three things, don't spend it. Period. Another critical piece of the puzzle is your repayment plan. And no, I'm not just talking about the minimum payments your lender expects. I'm talking about a proactive, aggressive strategy to pay off that loan as quickly as possible. Why? Because the longer you carry debt, the more it costs you. Every month you're paying interest. That's money you could be reinvesting in your business. So make it a priority to pay more than the minimum whenever you can. Treat it like a challenge. How fast can you get that balance down to zero? And here's the best part. When you do, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that your business is growing on its own without the crutch of borrowed money. Let me give you a quick analogy. Think of your loan as a shovel. Used correctly, it can help you dig the foundation for something incredible, a bigger building, a stronger business, a brighter future. But if you're careless or undisciplined, that same shovel can dig you into a hole so deep you can't climb out. The difference is in how you use it. Are you using the money to build, or are you using it to cover up bad decisions and bad habits? The choice is yours. Finally, don't go it alone. Running a business can feel lonely sometimes, but when it comes to managing a loan, you don't have to do it all by yourself. Surround yourself with a team of trusted advisors, your accountant, your mentor, maybe even a financial coach. These are the people who can help you stay accountable, stick to your plan, and avoid costly mistakes. Remember, success isn't a solo sport. It's a team effort. And the more support you have, the better your chances of winning. So here's the bottom line. A loan isn't a magic wand. It's a tool. And like any tool, its effectiveness depends on how you use it.
With a solid plan, disciplined spending, and a commitment to paying it off as quickly as possible, that loan can be a powerful force for good in your business.
But without those things, it's just a ticking time bomb waiting to blow up in your face. Don't let that happen. Be smart, be intentional, and use that money to build something extraordinary.
Your business and your future are worth it.
Let's get real for a second. Taking out a loan isn't the hard part. The hard part is avoiding the stupid mistakes that so many people make once they've got the loan. You've heard the stories. Heck, maybe you've lived them. A business owner takes out a loan with the best intentions, but 6 months later, they're drowning in payments, wondering where it all went wrong. It's not the loan itself that's the problem. It's the decisions they made along the way. And let me tell you, these mistakes aren't random. They follow a pattern. The good news, if you know what to watch out for, you can avoid them entirely. So let's talk about the biggest pitfalls and how you can steer clear of them. The first mistake is borrowing without understanding the terms. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to business owners who have no idea what they've signed up for. They don't know the interest rate. They don't know the repayment schedule. They don't know about the hidden fees buried in the fine print. It's like jumping into a pool without checking if there's water in it. Listen to me. You don't fully understand the loan, don't take it. Period. Ask questions. Read the documents. And if something doesn't make sense, get someone who knows what they're doing to explain it to you. A loan is a legal contract. It's not something you just skim and sign. The second mistake is borrowing more than you need. Look, I get it. When a lender says you're approved for $100,000, it's tempting to take the whole amount. But here's the thing. Just because you can borrow that much doesn't mean you should. Every dollar you borrow is a dollar you'll have to pay back with interest. So if you only need $50,000 to fund your project, don't take $5,000 just in case. That extra money will feel like a cushion at first, but it'll quickly turn into a burden when the payments start rolling in. Be disciplined.
Borrow only what you need and nothing more. Another massive mistake, using loan money for personal expenses.
You'd be amazed at how often this happens. Someone takes out a business loan, and before you know it, they're using it to pay for a new car, a family vacation, or a kitchen remodel. Folks, this is a one-way ticket to disaster. That money is meant for your business, period. Mixing personal and business finances is like playing with fire. It's messy, it's risky, and it almost always ends badly.
Keep your accounts separate and don't let temptation get the best of you.
Now let's talk about timing, because this is another area where people mess up. Borrowing money is all about timing. If you borrow too soon before you've done the proper research or built a solid foundation, you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you wait too long, you might miss a critical opportunity. The key is to borrow when you're ready, not when you're ready, not when you're desperate. Desperation leads to bad decisions. It makes you say yes to terms you wouldn't normally accept or borrow more than you can afford to repay. Don't let that be you. Plan ahead so you can borrow from a position of strength, not weakness. One of the sneakiest mistakes out there is failing to account for the true cost of the loan. A lot of people focus only on the monthly payment, thinking, well, if I can swing that, I'm good to go. But that's short-sighted. You've got to look at the total cost. The principal, the interest, the fees, every penny you're going to pay over the life of the loan. If you're not careful, you could end up paying double what you borrowed. And let me tell you, there's nothing more painful than realizing you've spent thousands of dollars on interest alone because you didn't do the math up front.
Be smart, run the numbers,
and make sure the loan makes sense from start to finish. Finally, the biggest mistake of all, not having a plan to pay it back. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A loan is not free money. It's borrowed money, and the lender is going to want it back, whether your business succeeds or not. So before you take out a loan, you need a solid repayment plan. How much are your monthly payments going to be? Where's that money coming from? What happens if business slows down or an unexpected expense pops up? If you don't have answers to these questions, you're not ready to borrow. It's that simple. Here's the bottom line. Mistakes with loans are avoidable. They're not inevitable, and they're not something you have to learn the hard way. With the right mindset, a little discipline, and a commitment to doing things the right way, you can use a loan to grow your business without falling into these common traps. Remember, it's not about how much money you borrow. It's about how you manage it. So stay sharp, stay focused, and don't let a loan derail your dreams. You've got what it takes to win. Now go out there and prove it. Let's bring this home. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's this. Borrowing money for your business isn't inherently good or bad. It's just a tool. And like any tool, its impact depends entirely on how you use it. A hammer can build a house or it can break a window. It's all about your intentions, your discipline, and your ability to make smart, calculated decisions. The problem is so many people treat loans like a magic wand thinking they'll solve all their problems. But you and I both know better. Loans don't fix bad habits, bad systems, or bad decisions. What they do is amplify whatever's already happening in your business. So if things are good, a loan can help you take things to the next level. But if things are chaotic, borrowing money is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It won't end well. Here's the truth.
No, the most successful business owners don't rely on loans to survive. They use them strategically, sparingly, and with purpose. They don't see a loan as free money. They see it as a temporary responsibility. Well, one, they intend to get rid of as quickly as possible.
They have a plan, real plan, not some half-baked idea, and they execute that plan with laser focus. They borrow only what they need, they spend it wisely, and they work tirelessly to pay it back. That's how you win with loans. It's not about how much you can borrow. It's about how well you can manage what you borrow. And let me tell you that mindset doesn't just apply to loan. It applies to everything in business. But let's be honest, managing money isn't the most exciting part of running a business. It's not why you started your company. You didn't dream about spreadsheets or payment schedules or balancing cash flow. No, you started your business because you had a vision, a dream to build something bigger than yourself, to create value for your customers, to make a difference in your community, and to provide for your family. And that dream is worth protecting. That dream is worth the hard work, the late nights, and the discipline it takes to make smart financial decisions. Because at the end of the day, a business isn't just about money. It's about legacy. It's about creating something that matters. That's why I want you to take everything we've talked about and put it into action. Don't just listen to this and nod along. Do something with it. If you're thinking about borrowing, take a step back and evaluate. Ask yourself the tough questions. Do I really need this loan? Do I have a plan for how I'm going to use it? Do I know exactly how I'm going to use it?
Do I know exactly how I'm going to pay it back? If the answer to any of those questions is no, hit pause.
Go back to the drawing board. Do the work to get clear on your goals and your strategy before you take on the responsibility of a loan.
And if the answer is yes, if you've done the math, made the plan, and know in your gut that this is the right move, borrow with confidence, use the money wisely, and get to work making that investment pay off.
But let me leave you with this. No loan, no matter how low the interest rate, will ever replace good business fundamentals. The best thing you can do for your business isn't borrowing money. It's building a solid foundation.
That means managing your cash flow with precision, treating every dollar like it matters, and staying focused on what really moves the needle. It means being a leader who makes decisions based on data, not emotions. It means staying humble enough to ask for help when you need it and disciplined enough to stick to your plan, even when things get tough, because they will get tough. That's part of the journey.
But tough times don't last. Disciplined business owners do. So here's my challenge to you. Be intentional. Be disciplined. Be the kind of business owner who takes responsibility for every decision and every dollar. Because when you do that, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
You don't need a mountain of debt to build a successful business. What you need is a clear vision, a smart plan, and the guts to see it through. And if you can combine those things with the strategic use of a loan, you'll be unstoppable.
This is your moment, your opportunity to take everything you've learned, everything you've worked for, and use it to create a business that's not just profitable, but purposeful. A business that makes an impact, a business that you can be proud of. So go out there and make it happen. Dream big, work hard, and don't let anything, including a loan, stand in your way. You've got this. Now go build something extraordinary